Our first speaker of the night I'd like to introduce, that is Parsa. Parsa will be doing the speech, his final speech in dynamic leadership, entitled A Successful Startup Through the Right Partners, Right Advisors, and Right Approach. In this speech, he's going to go over 3 important factors for successful startups. Parsa.
Hello everyone. As it was introduced today, I'm going to talk about successful startups. First, I would like to see some hands in the room. How many of you have had an idea for a startup or a small business in your lifetime? I'm sure all of us did. We all have it at some point in our life. This is very important for us to be able to manage that. How to basically start a new business, a new startup, and help it grow. But many of us, while trying to do it, while as time passes, we just forget it. The life gets complicated, we just forget that brilliant idea we had. There are skills that entrepreneurs need to develop in themselves to be able to flourish that idea. Today I'm going to focus on 3 main factors that can help an idea become a successful startup or a successful business. The first and probably the most important factor would be right partners. We might be able to get things done on ourselves. That's possible. But I'm sure you all have heard this. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, take someone with yourself. That is the truth of it. Every business at some point will face difficulties. It's important. It's important to have someone on your side who can complete you, who can complete that shortcoming that you have. Most of successful businesses are basically coming from multiple brilliant people enjoying working within the group. The fact that you can enjoy more if you can bring a group of people together. The other thing that I would like to emphasize on is right advisor. People who can look to your idea from outside and help you with help you from a perspective of someone outside, someone who's looking to the problem from a different perspective. People who are within the group, after some time, they all start to think similar to each other, at least to that specific problem. People who are outside, good advisors, at this point can come and say, okay, yes, you're doing it right, but I have gone to this showcase and I have seen similar things to what you are doing. It's probably a good idea for you guys to look at this problem from this aspect as well. Or he or she, the advisor, can come up with parallel applications for your startup or business. They can say, okay, I know what you're doing. I have seen parallel things, and you can apply your idea or your software to a other application. They will help you to look outside of the box. And that is what a good advisor will bring to the table. Good advisors, as Larry says, Larry mentioned last week, he said something that was extremely amazing to me. He said that my mentor is my eyes outside of the business. It's something like a guardian who comes and adds to the system. And the third topic that I would like to talk about is right approach. The idea of having a right approach to solving a problem, probably you can look at many different aspects. The only thing that I would like to bring is, again, every startup at some point will have difficulties. And having a right approach to not giving up, to look at your failures and look at them as just a attempt. It's successful people are not those who don't fail. Successful people are those who learn from their failures and who can sit back and learn from their failures. This is the difference between a successful person and someone who is not. That they know how to manage failure. That was my short, brief speech, I guess.
We don't have a portion for VPE at the end of the meeting, but that concludes Parsa's Level 1 Dynamic Leadership. Congratulations. Is anyone using the overhead projector today?
No, we had it.
What's that?
We put the screen down to block the sun, but not the projector on.
The projector's on.
Okay.
The projector's on.
It's on. No, it's on.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably good as a shield, but I don't know about the blue light. Our next speaker is David Wood. David will be speaking on the dynamic leadership, understanding your leadership style path. And his speech is entitled, How I Found My Leadership Style. Discovering one's leadership style is a journey of self-reflection, analysis, and sometimes pain. But what you get on the other side is a deeper understanding of how you will react when it's your time to step up. In the next speech, the speaker will share with us some of the insights of his journey and self-discovery into his leadership style. Please welcome David Wood.
Thank you, Jerry. Fellow Toastmasters, it's been a little while. To get started, I want to tell you guys a quick story, and then I'll go into the kind of leadership style that I've discovered that is most suitable to me, and then I'll wrap it up with a quick how I ultimately came across the style. So to get started with the story, I'll tell you guys a story about the hardest class I ever took in school, one of the hardest classes I ever took in school. It wasn't a technical class, it was actually a writing class. But this was one hell of a writing class. We had reports that were 50 to 100 pages long, and we had 7 reports in that entire semester. Now you can guess that this was a group effort, and it was. We were introduced to our groups in the beginning. The very first day we come into class, we sit at a desk, and we get shuffled around, and we look around, and our group, 6 complete and total strangers, we will be working together to accomplish this mountain of a goal for the next semester. Now you can imagine working with complete and total strangers when you get tested, it can be scary, it can be rough. And we went through that semester. To make a long story short, one of our group members, we'll call him Bob, he was a serial underperformer in this class. Bob was a great engineer, don't get me wrong, but he just wasn't great at writing reports. And it showed when we would establish a draft, split off into our collective dens, our engineering dens, and write our section of the report. Then we'd come together and stitch together a rough draft, do some edits, turn in a final copy. We do a round robin style of editing, and let's introduce John now. John was editing Bob's report the first week, and immediately John goes, "Bob, this is garbage." That's pretty harsh. You can't be hearing that on the very first report. And I read it over myself. It was hard to decipher. A lot of buzzwords, but not a lot of flow. Let's just say it wasn't well put together. I ended up rewriting pretty much the majority of Bob's section for that week. And moving on to the second week, we gave Bob some feedback, and he came in, worked hard, turned something in that we still weren't happy with. We're trying to get A's, and Bob was giving us C work. So what happened? A couple of members of the group ended up staying all night at the library, rewriting his section, putting together a final draft, and exhaustively turning it in to the teacher the next day. You can imagine that, I forgot to mention, one of the members of that pair that was up all night was John. You can imagine John was furious with Bob. You spend enough time in the library and you go nuts. And you start resenting people, you look for people to be angry at, you're mad at the professor, but John was mad at Bob. And rightfully so. I mean, the reason that they were up so late was they were rewriting Bob's section. So John comes in storming. And Bob sits down and John is just fuming at him. First he starts off with like slightly negative comments, and that's where I left. I had left early for that class. I was like, all right, let's turn in our report. I'll get going because I got to work on this other project for another class. I ended up finding out that Bob and John ended up having a yelling match. Race was brought into it. It was terrible, and the professors had to separate. Yeah, it was. From what I heard, it was pretty bad, and you can imagine that tensions were high after that. I tried to manage the situation by keeping things calm, cool, and collected, and using empathy, understanding both sides. Bob was working hard, it just wasn't working, and John was putting blame on Bob when the reality was we had a problem and we needed to solve it. So I, along with a couple other members of the group, suggested that Bob go to the English department, learn a little bit of technical writing, get some tutoring from them. He did it gladly, and the next reports were much, much better. John calmed down after that. He never admitted that Bob's reports were good, but he always said that they were good enough. So that took a little bit longer than I wanted, but what I do want to go into is my leadership style, and what encompasses that is I'll talk about 2 points from a who, what, and where perspective. Who I am as a leader, what I do as a leader, and where the environment that I try and create as a leader. The what, or no, rather the who, the first who I am, is I'm rigid in my values. Some people think that being dynamic and adaptive in what you believe makes you able to handle all situations. I disagree. I think you choose simple, fundamental, wholesome values and you stick to your guns and you never break it. And I think that's paramount in maintaining trust. In a group, trust is one of the most important things. You can't lead without trust. The second who is I'm all in. If I choose to lead something, I'm all in. If I'm putting my name on this and I'm stepping up as the most energetic volunteer, as I sometimes call leaders, I'm definitely all in. And I think it sets a good example to the rest of the group. If you're all in, then they'll put in more effort. the what. What I do when I'm a leader is I obsessively manage conflict, probably to a fault. I'm looking to put out fires before they happen. If it looks like there might be a potential rise in tension between two members, I'm changing the subject, I'm getting them to understand each other, not in like an obtuse way, but like in a kind of sly, almost Machiavellian way to try and make everybody happy, because ultimately smoothness is the foundation for good, efficient work. And any kind of tension drives inefficiency into the process. So conflict management. And then the second one is problems and solutions, not blame. I'm always looking to solve problems, and I'm never looking to put the blame on somebody. You know, if something happens, there's probably a reason for it, and let's solve the problem, not point fingers. Running a little bit over time, but the where. So the environment that I try and create, always a democracy. I always want people to have a say. I always feel guilty about going through something without the consensus of everyone. So if somebody's quiet in a meeting, I'll try and get them to speak up. Just ask them what their thoughts are on it. And then the second where of the environment is humor. Communicate with humor. I think humor is one of the best things to communicate with. If you're laughing and smiling, you're not resentful and angry. And you're not thinking about hardships and journey that you have to deal with. So you could be climbing a mountain, but if you're laughing and smiling with your friends, you'll be at the top before you even know. And I think humor is an important aspect of that. So to wrap it up, the who, what, and the where. Who, I am all in, I'm rigid in my values. The what is I manage conflict obsessively, and I'm all about problems and solutions. The where is it's a democracy, and it's a funny democracy. Let's make some jokes. Let's be lighthearted. And then finally, to wrap it up, how I got to this is through analysis, experimentation, and reading. Analyze where I make mistakes. Run simulations in my head, look for opportunities to improve. Take those simulations and experiment with them. You know, first you try an authoritarian regime, and that never works. So then you realize democracy is the way to go. And then you are worrisome and about the upcoming deadlines, and so then it's all about humor. And then ultimately reading, you can experiment and analyze all day, but in my short life, I will never match the wisdom of my ancestors. And so reading is the best way to expedite the process. And so that is how I found my leadership style.
Our third and final speaker this evening is doing the second evaluation and feedback speech in the dynamic leadership path. The speech is entitled, What Mindfulness Looks Like in a World of Technology. Lisa is interested in practicing mindfulness in her daily life. She's here today to share some of her personal insights that she has had while on her journey to appreciate the moments that comprise the day. Please welcome Lisa.
Mindfulness, it's a current buzzword, even though it's been around for thousands of years. Simply put, mindfulness is only concentrating on what you're doing in the moment. But we have technology though. Technology we carry around in our pockets. And with this technology, we are hooked in and plugged in 24/7. We have emails, we've got news alerts, we've got weather alerts, we've got phone calls, we've got social media platforms. Oh my heavens. And I was realizing that if I didn't have my phone, I thought I might be missing out on something. Yeah. So I even discovered, I made this discovery one day, I left the house without my phone. Oh my goodness. I felt, by the time I realized it, because normally I check before I didn't check. I felt so vulnerable. Oh my goodness, what will I do? I'll miss out on something. And then with that revelation, I began to notice people around me. I went to Starbucks once, like a few times.
What?
And I was waiting for the barista to give me my coffee. So I was waiting around, I didn't have my phone. And I looked around, there were two people on one side of me and two people on the other. You know what they were doing?
On their phone.
They didn't notice who was around them. I couldn't smile and start chatting with them because they were too busy on their phone. One day I was driving down the street to my house and I noticed this woman walking this, oh, such a cute dog. But she's on her phone. She's on her phone, she's trying to pick up her poop, and the dog's taken off. It wasn't the prettiest thing, but she had to be on her phone. But the one that takes the cake was I was going to pick up my son one day, and there was a young man on a bike texting. Ooh, what? I thought, okay, that's it. I've got to try mindfulness. If I don't want to do this, I'll put down my phone. The essence of mindfulness is being in the moment with no distractions and realizing the moment. The anchor, what you anchor to when you are practicing mindfulness is your breath. Because your breath is always in the present. So my decision was I was going to practice mindfulness when I went on my walk, around the block and back. So I go out my front door, I walk down the street, then I look up the hill. Some people might just call it a slight incline. It's a hill. And I'm concentrating on my breathing. That's all I'm thinking about, and how my body is moving. That's all I'm thinking about. I make it up to the top of the hill. I stop, I catch my breath. And then I let the other senses kick in. What do I smell? I'm walking, I continue to walk. I smell the juniper bushes. That's a pleasant smell. I smell the pine trees. Then I stop short because I smell something, but I'm not quite sure what it is. Still haven't ascertained what it was. Did it have quite sweet smell? I thought that's interesting. Then I let my sight take over. I see the clouds. I see the gorgeous sunrise. I see the birds, but then my hearing takes place, and I listen to the birds cheerfully greet the day. They sound so excited about this day. And I continue to breathe, and when I'm doing this and walking, observing what's around me, my shoulders go down. It seems like I start the day sometimes like this. But after that, it went down. I finished my walk, came back into the house, I thought, wow, I feel rejuvenated. That's a really pleasant experience. It made me smile. Now that's a 15-minute block. I know everyone is busy. Life is busy. But I decided that also what I would do would take snippets of moments and enjoy those. So when I go to the gym, I park out in North 40 and I walk in. And when I come back, after I'm in the gym, I try to be mindful on my way out. I try to feel the breeze on my face that's gently cooling me. And again, the clouds, all my senses are going. So when I get back in that car, that moment is appreciated. Now, I don't have anything bad to say about technology. Technology has brought a lot of things to us, a lot of good things. But we also have to understand that we have to capture the moment. Because the moments go by so quickly. Oh my gosh, it's only about 4 months until the holidays. What did I just do the last 9? I don't know. So I wanted to take the moment and capture it and remember it and enjoy it. Life is made up of moments and they fly by so quickly. And then at the end of it, that's all you have is a combination of numbers. So when you lie down at night, when I do this, I'll lie down at night, and I'll think about those moments that I've had during the day. The feelings, especially the breeze on my face, and the smells that kind of calmed me. And then I can lie there with a smile on my face and peace of mind.
Great, this is exciting. A British judge one time lamented, from the moment we are born, the human mind never stops working or thinking till we stand up to talk. This is our chance to actually practice. And I mean, there's no guess, you come in here and just give it your all. So let's start. I have various topics here what I'm going to do. I have a series of pictures here. I don't know if I should show them, but let me explain first. I'm going to turn the pictures face down. And then you come over here, you pick one of the pictures, you look at the picture and tell us what's going on in the picture, how it affects and stuff like that. So it's a good way to learn one style. Any volunteers? Oh.
This is a lot of traffic, a lot. Maybe this is LA, or is that not even as bad as LA?
It's 270.
270.
At 8 o'clock. Well, we can be thankful that this is not Frederick.
Yes.
And that it will probably never be Frederick. And part of the reason for that is 80% of the landmass in Frederick County is parks or ag or undeveloped. And the long-term plan for that is that it never gets below 60%. With that, I don't think we'll ever have enough people to have to deal with this. So we can be very thankful for that.
Right. Still have some more pictures left.
We got a cartoon of some kids jumping. And I think this actually sums up kids pretty well. One thing I notice a lot about children today is they're able to entertain themselves really simply. And you can tell here that all they're doing is jumping in the air. If you were to ask a group of adults to do this, it would probably be a team building exercise of sorts. The older you get, the less you're entertained and the more you need to be satisfied. And I think it's a great lesson from children is you'll notice a lot of times they're happy in life with just a little bit of love from their parents, spending time with their friends, maybe having some ice cream. You know, that makes them happy. They're not constantly looking up and reaching. I think a lot of adults put themselves in unhappiness by focusing too much on what they don't have and not enough on what they have. So the moral is that if you have some sun and some friends to jump up and down with, you should be all right.
I'm going to go ahead and change things a little here. This is what I'm going to do. You have written a book, and you're taking a tour around the nation to promote the book and get people to start buying the book. This is the title of the book, taking Toastmasters to Congress. Any volunteers? Sure.
I can tell you this, I'm touring the world, but I didn't write that book. The book I wrote is about, we're entering a new era, the Joe Hoffman awareness era. It's all about making me, Joe Hoffman, my life better. And you know how you can do that? Well, I actually have a fund and several options. I take major credit cards, and you can contribute to my fund, making my life better. You see, I enjoy life. I love to travel around the world promoting my new book. I also love to eat and drink, beer and wine both. And you know, as you know, that's expensive. So that's why you can contribute to my cause, my LLC, because it's not about you, it's about me, making my life, not yours. And you're wondering, is it tax deductible? It's not. Because that's too hard to create a charitable organization. I have to worry about all the legal ramifications of keeping it, you know, private and all that stuff. It's about me making my life better and making it easier. So contribute to me, and if I had my slide up here, I'd show all the places you can contribute. I accept all major credit cards, PayPal, and so forth. I even have a GoFundMe site that you can contribute to. So it's about me making my life better, a new era, the Joe Hoffman awareness era. Thank you.
A lot of us love music, and sometimes you listen to some songs, they inspire you. One of the songs that really inspires me, I'm going to try and do, I don't sing as good as you, Pastor, I'm going to do the best I can. Now, by you listening to this song, you can either use this song or use another song that actually inspires you and tell us what comes to mind. This one goes like this. I am a Whitney Houston. I can't even hit the notes that she does. But he says, I believe children are a future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them the beauty they possess inside and give them a sense of pride. Now, when you hear that in a song, what kind of inspires you? What do you get from that? Or any song that actually inspires you?
It's unfortunate that both Bakari and myself are probably the two least likely people to sing. Terrible singer. The most liberating part of my life has been having a son who has no judgment. Daddy, you're a good singer. I'm really concerned at what this will do for his musical ear growing up. However, it allows me to share with him the power of music. And the power of music for me happened around the time that I got married. I danced with my wife to the song by Train, My Wish. And I love the way that that song has translated from my marriage to my son. I love saying those words. My wish is that all your dreams will come true. That no door is too hard to open. And if you find a door locked, you can go through the window. I love sharing those words. And because I love that, I made a pillow for him. And on that pillow, I had the sewing machine nicely tied. Always have big dreams. And that's what he sleeps on every night. So, I can't sing like Bakari, but if I would, I'd have Mariah Carey sing that song to my son so he knows what a good voice is.
All right. This is another thing that I do with my kids to get them thinking. I ask them, come over here and describe to me how you make a peanut butter sandwich. Anybody like to come up here and actually describe to us how they make one?
So, you know, Christine said we have a lot of farms around here. Well, you have to get neighborly with a farmer, and the one who grows wheat. And you get the wheat, you have to wait all you know after he plants the wheat for you. And you're gonna harvest it out with a little sieve, and you gotta separate the grain, and then you have to grind it. This is just to make the bread. Just imagine what it's gonna take going down to Georgia to get the peanuts to make the peanut butter. So my way of making the peanut butter sandwich is a little bit longer than most people, so I'll take my grandson's way. First of all, he just says straight peanut butter. He'll just look at it with a spoon. So that's how he likes his peanut butter sandwiches. Now that's not the way I would like it. But you know when dogs do that, you feed peanut butter to a dog, they just live it forever. So there's lots of different ways to make and eat a peanut butter sandwich. My favorite is just homemade bread, really good organic peanut butter, and nothing else. Just the bread and the peanut butter.
Right. This is another big challenge. It's gonna require some persuasion. Say you're a real estate agent, and you've got some property. This property is some like a really rough place. It's near to a nuclear power plant.
Chernobyl.
Yeah. The other one is close to an active landfill. Now your job is to come out and convince people like me, hey, Bakari, this property is really good, buy it, it's gonna do something. So let's see how your persuasion skills are. Any volunteers?
I'll do it again. Oh, he's good.
So I got two great properties to show you today. The first one is over by the Calvert Cliffs Nuclear Facility. Now, before you have any objections, this is a cheap property. Now I'm telling you, you don't even know what cheap is until you look at the list price on this thing, and it's only going to go up from here. Once they get safer nuclear regulations and they're able to handle the radiation better, you won't even notice that you have 3 legs or 2. All right, I understand, you don't want that. I have a phenomenal property over by the Frederick landfill. Now, have you ever been by the Frederick landfill? You barely even smell it. And again, rock bottom prices in a growing city like Frederick. You're gonna wanna get in at the ground level on this one, trust me. Now, if you have any more thoughts on this or any more objections, I mean, look at the market right now. The rates are at the lowest they're ever gonna get. You should get in now when you can and tell them I sent you.
Thank you, Bakari. And imagine, that was just a warm-up. We've got another round of table topics, everybody. Christine is going to lead us in the final table topic section of the evening. Please welcome Christine.
Well, that was jumping all over the place, Bakari. I made you also. We're going to have a little bit of a theme. All right, who is a crazy relative? Oh, Leanne?
Yes. Oh. Didn't know I was volunteering.
Now we know the Who's your craziest relative? What's one thing about them that you wish you had, and one thing you're glad you don't?
I wish. Okay, my mother. Craziest relative. Well, one thing I'm glad I wish I had, and one thing I'm glad I don't.
Yes.
Okay, wish I had. She was a very strict mother, but let us find our own way, and I tried to exemplify that, that's not the right word, with my children. I think I did a very good job. There's a million things I'm glad I don't have, because she is the craziest relative. My mother, she's no longer with us, but she was a very negative, depressive, paranoid person. And she just, whenever she was around laughter, she would have to squash it. She could never hold a job because she was always afraid people were talking about her. Towards the end of her life, she developed Alzheimer's. It is a horrible disease, but if you're on the outside looking in, the things that those people do, she would have conversations, with people that aren't there and want you to join in on the conversation, which I got really good at. I would just flow with it, and then my dad would think I was serious. And he was just like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Dad, I'm just going with it. He's like, oh, okay. But yes, my craziest relative was my mother. I do love her, but I'm glad she's over and at peace.
Yes, we cannot always pick our relatives. Or can we? Who would you like to be related to? Who would you like to be related to? Please.
I'd like to be related to Michelle Obama. I just think she's just the most fantastic person. I mean, I don't know her, never met her, even though she only lived like 35 miles from us here. Never met her, but I just think that she goes out there. I saw something on Facebook yesterday where she was kind of holding a sign that said her job was taken over by an immigrant, and I said, it looked real, it looked like she was really holding it, and that doesn't mean a lot to me. She's making a statement, and she reaches a lot of people, and I think that would be a great person to know very well.
What is a hard thing you have had to tell a coworker, and how did you do it? What's the hardest thing, or what is a hard thing you have had to tell a coworker, which could be your boss, a subordinate, or a peer? What is a hard thing you have had to tell a coworker, and how did you do it? Bakari.
I work in construction. Many years I worked out in the field. And people in construction tend to be rough on the edges. You have to watch what you do, how you say it, and things, because at the end of the day you want to go home, or somebody will run you over with a piece of equipment.
Oh my God.
So you have to learn that. I know I can run fast, but sometimes the job trailer has one entrance. What you do sometimes, like say for example I'm out and somebody is doing something they're not supposed to do, I just go over to somebody and say, hey Bill, I have a good idea. And then I go ahead and explain to him, this is actually how it's done. And then I deliver the message I'm value. And a lot of times I used to do this in a certain way, it didn't work so well, and this is the way I actually do it now. And sometimes you just let them calm down a little bit before you deliver that message to them. Or you make sure there's other people around so that there's some kind of level of protection, or they don't react or boil as much. But sometimes my superintendent would come out in the office and throw his hard hat down and do this up and jump down. I mean, there was a nice guy. but he just sometimes over dramatize things. And the good thing about Daryl, at the end of the day, after having a rough day, you could actually go out and have a drink with him, and he's completely different person. So it was all about business. So the main thing is just having tact, realizing who you're talking to and how things are going to be done. And if you do that, you'll probably survive to be my age.
Perfect partner, a perfect spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. All right, well, this question isn't for you.
I
This
can
is
do
for
it.
someone who does not have a perfect spouse.
He said he does.
I have a
Well,
perfect.
it's not for you. That's for somebody who does not.
Oh,
Thank you, though.
okay.
If there was one thing you could tell your partner that bothers you, and you can be guaranteed they will accept it wholeheartedly and with no grudge, what would it be, and how would you do it?
Could we talk about a niece's partner? No.
Okay, Jerry.
Go, Jody.
If I could tell my husband one thing, it would be, why don't you clean up after yourself? Why do you wait for me to do it? Or why do I have to leave messes for you to clean up, you know? Why is it that you don't just like do things when they need to be done? Why do I have to like put it off in order for you to notice? The dishes need to be cleaned, or the laundry needs to be done. I don't really like these traditional roles. Like, I'd like a little bit more, 50-50 here. I mean, it's 2019. Like, that stuff is dead. It's times. That's probably what I would say is, I'd like you to take more initiative with the chores and actually do them instead of like waiting for me to clean up after you, like, mom.
Those were my personal ideas, and now in this bag, I have no idea what you'll get. Who would like to volunteer? Alex?
Yeah.
Oh, there's one that's gone.
Who's your secret celeb crush and why?
Well, it's not a secret if you tell it.
That's true.
True, I'm trying to think if I have a celeb crush right now. I like Mila Kunis. She's pretty cool. I know that she's married to Ashton Kutcher, and I think he's pretty funny. I remember watching her in that 70s show growing up, and I just have a lot of respect for any celebrities that can marry someone and stay married for more than a few years. I know it's not the typical route they go. And I guess I was pretty young when she was getting her acting career, but I don't think I've seen her in any major scandals as well, which I always respect. It's kind of nice these days. People got a lot of things going on, and Instagram and whatever else they do. And in general, I just think she's pretty classy, so it's always nice. So that's my celeb crush.
Random topic number 2. Who has not gone yet? Let's have someone. Okay, Ruth.
Sorry, I forgot my glasses. If you can talk to anyone in the world, living or dead, for 30 minutes, who would you talk to and why? A couple years ago,
I read a book by the Dalai Lama, and I just got really, really into that whole culture and people of Tibet, and started doing some research and stuff. And this particular book that he wrote had something to do. There was a particular piece on it that talked about attachment to things, to people, and how it relates to love and happiness. And I probably would love to have a conversation with him for 30 minutes to for him to elaborate on that subject and go a little bit beyond the feelings. Yes, we can control our actions, we're entitled to our feelings. Yes, we can change how we react to things. Yes, we can show people something completely different than what's going on inside you. But I would love to hear from him something deeper about what do you do? The washer machine. That's going on, and how you come to it.
This next one is for Hanu, who always wants to volunteer but needs a little nudge. She told me that.
What is your morning ritual and how has it evolved through years? What is morning ritual?
Something you do regularly in the morning.
Okay. So, 1 year ago, I was really into a book called Morning Routine. And it says 6 things to do in the morning that you can do 1 minute by each, that you can spend only 6 minutes in the morning and you can do your routine. Unfortunately, I forgot all of them. Except one thing, that was journaling. So now I don't do every 6th thing during the morning, but when I wake up in the morning, I take my journal out of my shelf and write something down for 1 page, and then just put it down. It's just giving to me some relaxation. Even if this morning I have some crazy thoughts, I can just put out on the page and then forget about it. And sometimes I forget to do it, but when I do it in the morning, it feels so good that I can have a great day like today. Thank you.
You raised your hand?
I guess.
All right.
So just press start. If you can change your career regardless if you have the talent, what would it be, why, and why? Well, that's easy. I guess it's not a career. It's a joy of life. I think that, I don't know if anyone gone through this singing or any performing arts, I think. Even dancing. I think dancing, in Indian culture, we have regional dances, dance types. They just forget. So that's the essence of life. It's like it's all the sense that we are seeing through this entire thing that we are going through in our lives. But when you go to that art forms, something else happens. You completely forget yourself, and then the enjoyment quadruples.
So it's the career-wise, I guess you could call it a career, but that's like making life. Regardless if you have the talent, but you have to have the talent, because in order to enjoy, you have to have the talent. Right? I guess that's the requirement. But you can develop the talent, I think, with the proper education from the childhood. And these days, I see in my culture, everybody, they have daughters. They put them through this classical singing called Carnatic singing. They just sit there and then do beats on their thighs, sing some melodies and godly songs, and you can see that they're actually enjoying so much. Boys and